Hello and welcome to Paul's Yard, and today you find me on location in leafy southwest London to look at a classic car, but not an ordinary classic car. There's rare classic cars and there's very rare classic cars. So the Metro's come out for a little ride this morning. It doesn't look like it's going to rain anytime soon, so we've managed to dodge the rain. So we're going to now have a look round something that you won't have seen for a long time. It's time to do the reveal, and Mark, the owner, has very kindly opened the garage door for us. And this is no normal Rover P6. We've got 3.5, 1975 Estora. So we think that's amalgamation of Estate and Tourer, which seems a fair enough assumption. So this is a 1975 model, as I said, and it was FML Panelcraft that was looking at the Rover 2000s and thinking, hey, can we do something with the P6 and turn that into an estate? And I think they've done a cracking job of it. So the numbers vary of how many they made of these, but the sources you'll find on the internet will just come up with the same figure of about 160. But I have a few reliable sources that say the number's much higher than that. It's 300, possibly 300 plus. So you can make your mind up about that, but it's depends how close you are to the clubs and stuff, you'll get much more accurate information. So there's the big long sloping roofline there, and you can see where FML Panelcraft took over. It was at this point here that the estate was hatched. So this was marketed originally, the P6, for the young executive, or as we call them, young professionals now. And obviously young professionals have families and kids, and I guess that this estate was marketed at kids going touring, with their kids touring around the country, so the paraphernalia, etc. We now gave birth to an estate in 1970, launched by H.R. Owen, and they worked with Crayford. We've got a wobbly stick today. They worked with Crayford, and they were more responsible for the interior of the remodelling of this car. It really was FML Panel Works that sort of dealt with this over at their factory in Battersea, so only about 10 miles from where we are now. And the car's been a local car. It's always been in this area of southwest London, and it's had about 6 owners, and the current owner, my friend Mark, has gone into team with another friend of his, and they jointly have purchased the car, and they've had a good look at it, and they're probably thinking it's just a bit too much for them to take on. So they are more than likely going to move it on. So if you are interested at all in this car, then contact me on my YouTube page, or Paul Thompson 1275 on Instagram, and I'll forward you his details to speak to him directly, because I'm not an aficionado on these cars, as you've probably established. The people that are people like Sheldon from Classic Britain. They're the people to contact. They know every inch of these cars. So this is like a time warp car. It's exactly how you do want to find one. No one's had a go at this, and we believe the last time it was on the road was 1998. This is a proper under the cover barn find. It's got everything still left as it was. You've got round here, you've got some spare parts in the back. We're not quite sure, we haven't done an inventory of those yet, but there's various bits and pieces in there. So we need to go through them at some point. So as we come back round, this car won awards for safety with its big, strong monocoque design, and the idea was the panels could be removed, and if the styling was changed in the future, you could simply swap the panels over. This conversion came in at about 800 quid back in the early 70s. So they tended to be found more, I believe, on the 3.5s, the bigger engines, so obviously a bigger budget, bigger wallet, so they tended to put them onto those models rather than the 2 and the 2500. I believe this estate end to the car was pop riveted on, and the only downside of that at the time was that it just seemed to block up the original drainage channels for off of the original P6, so it was prone to rot here and there. So let's see if we can wrestle that up with a gimbal. You can see how big it was inside. I mean, this was a big car in its day, and fast. 117 mile an hour with the boot right down. You've got the usual bits that are going to need attention. You can see, well, they were talking about these sort of areas there, but this isn't too bad. I've seen a lot worse than this. It may look bad on the video, but I've seen a lot worse. So as I said, this won a lot of awards for safety, and they tried to keep the weight down a bit, I think, because obviously we've got steel, and here, completely different sound, we've got aluminium. So if Mark, could you just lift up the bonnet for me, please, mate? We'll just have a quick look in there. Cheers. And you can see that it's done, obviously we've got V8 badges everywhere on this, but you've got huge air intake down below there as well to try and get some air into this huge 3.5 twin carbs. So it's all there, isn't it? You know, we think someone has started this up recently, because the oil in there, it looks like it's been sort of topped up. It seems fairly clean, but these always look worse than what they are. I heard there's a few issues with the fuses on these. They do like to catch light sometimes, so you have to be a bit careful of that. But it just needs a good overhaul, this, doesn't it? Like, you know, all the belts and everything. But one of the reasons this engine bay is so big, I think in the 60s, I think everyone was going a bit crazy, weren't they, the swinging 60s. I think the idea was to actually put a jet engine, like a turbine engine in there, because Rover were working with jet engines back then. I think they handed that all over to Rolls-Royce in the end. So yeah, in went the V8 lump. Now this was a Buick lump, aluminium, but Americans didn't want that. I think they wanted a heavier cast iron lump. So Rover said, we'll have it, and kept the weight down, obviously. So that's an aluminium engine in there, and it's delivered a lot of power. So this would easily, you know, sit at 100 miles an hour, you know, all day long. That was the beauty of the 3.5. So we're just going to pause for a second there. Right, so there's a very good reason why we hit the pause button there. We're going down. We're going deep down. This garage, luckily, has a pit, so I'm going to try and squeeze my slender 52-year-old frame underneath this 47-year-old frame. Let's go underground, guys. So now we can see underneath the car. Now, I'm glad I come underneath here. This is one of those cars, one of the first cars. It was so innovative, this car. It had disc brakes all round, but not normal disc brakes. These are inboard discs on this car. This car had so many things that you'd never seen before. It sort of tore the rule book up from all the previous Rovers. So there, you don't see many cars with them. Inboard disc brakes. I've never seen them before. You know, I've never seen an estate before. I've been to hundreds of shows, and I've never seen an estate P6. So look, all the footwells look pretty good here. You know, you've got the usual bit of oil there. You'd expect it, you know. All the lower arms, all the bushes and everything's there. You know, this is more easily savable. It's a nice project for someone. Yeah, we've got the usual little bit here and there, you know, obviously. It's bound to be, and it's 47 years old. It's been through 6 hands, so it's probably not always been garage. We've got signs of a bit there. It's good for a prospective buyer to have a look at this. Oh, look what I'm doing, eh? There's those discs again. It's incredible. It really is. I've never seen anything like that ever. So we're going to now attempt. You see the strength of this construction. It's solid, isn't it? Absolutely solid. So let's see if we can try it and get back out. And I'm just going to hit pause again because this could go wrong. So as I sort of alluded to earlier, this car really was groundbreaking. I think every Rover owner says, oh, I had the last. The P5s were the last of the real Rovers. And then people had the P6. Oh, they were the last of the real Rovers. I'm not, as you've established, I'm not an aficionado on Rovers, and I take my hat off to all the guys that do know so much about these cars. And I know you guys are going to help me out with comments and stuff to sort of put me right, which is fine, because that's how we learn, isn't it? You know. But underneath here, just another thing they did that was different. The suspension arm. Look at the top up there. Went horizontal. I've never seen that before. This car was groundbreaking in its day. It really was. The flying squad loved them because they shifted down the motorway a bit. They could overtake anything back in the day. So just to conclude, so Mark's taking this on with a friend of his, and time restraints and stuff. They're thinking this needs someone who's going to dedicate a bit of time to it, and so it's not one of those projects that stalls. So I think that wraps up this video, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment as much as you want, to share it, please. This is a new channel, so we're going to do our best to get things right. We will get it wrong, but there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that very, very rare P6 Estora 1975. One of probably, I don't know, a handful left. It was a Series 2, and thank you so much for watching, and see you guys soon.